shot the sheriff and I slipped it loose. The law ain't never been a friend of mine. I would kill again to keep from doing time. You should never ever trust my kind. I'm a wanted man. I got blood on my hands. Do you understand? I'm a wanted man.
Welcome to TFI Wednesday. I'm Johnny Burrow.
And I'm Finn Blacklaws. We're very excited to present the first ever weekly highlight show for university sport.
This is the only show where you'll see a bit of this and a bit of this. And a bit of this. Oh great, actual sport. I love it. So Finn, let's kick this off right. For those of you at home, grab your loved ones, dim the lights, and let's get in the mood with a montage of a little sweet, sweet sport loving.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Baby, baby. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Baby, baby.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so onto the University of Bath, where thousands of student athletes and their very excited supporters and a few handsome ducks, Johnny, descended upon the West Country to compete in 52 finals of prestigious BUCS Premier Leagues.
Teams from more than 800 leagues from across the country came to Bath to whitewash their opponents and keep their sheets clean. Some inevitably would have to throw in the towel, while others would hope to keep their good form running. So let's get to the sport. We have to start with the men's hockey, as it was the Loughborough versus Nottingham fixture that drew the biggest crowds of the day. Loughborough prevailed with a 2-1 win over Nottingham, thus claiming back-to-back titles for the squad. It was second year Luke Cornish with the winner, and the spectacular celebrations that followed certainly looked painful.
Here's TFI Wednesday correspondent and Team GB gold medal winning hockey star, Krista Cullen, who caught up with the Loughborough men's captain post-match.
So Robbie, emphatic final, lovely way to win, and right down to the wire with your boys on the line trying to save their penalty corners. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that was a bit mad at the end. I think it was just a case of the boys throwing everything they can to try and defend it. I mean, conceding a penalty corner after full-time whistle is just it's always a bit nuts because they got so many players around the D and you're just trying to get rid of it. But I mean, the boys were so good. They were so hard in defence. I think it was absolutely brilliant the way we battled all the way through the end of that match.
And yourself coming off the back of the World League,
Yeah.
Scotland,
Yeah, exactly.
coming back in here to play the final. How did you feel?
It's been a bit of a mental week getting a last-minute call-up to go to the World League, but I mean, coming back here, I mean, it's so easy to get back in with these boys. Such a great bunch of lads.
Earlier in the afternoon, the Loughborough women took on three-time champions Birmingham. Here's Birmingham stars Caitlin Atchison and Lily Olsen before the game.
Lily, Caitlin, final, amazing, and you guys are looking for your 5th consecutive win on the bounce, or 4th consecutive win on the bounce. You've played in all of them so far. How are you feeling?
Nervous. It doesn't get any easier.
Yeah,
for sure, but it's exciting.
Tell me some quirky stuff about your team. Who does the weirdest stuff in the changing room in their preparations? Come on, Lil, you knew these questions were coming.
Got to be Stevie, suspect dancing.
Okay.
I mean, I was
can you
gonna
give us
say
a
that,
rendition?
but-
Can you give us a rendition?
It's more like...
Okay, I think we got to having a little bit too much fun there with Team GB's Lily Olsen. For you pure sports lovers, here's Lily's great game-winning goal. I think she's showing off here, Finn, really. There's a bit too much flicking, and it's rude.
Yeah, there's a beautiful pass though. She flicks it up and flings it into that goal. It is a beautiful goal, we must say. Moving on to lacrosse. The showpiece fixture of the day was the men's final between Durham and Nottingham Trent, which was quickly tipped to be a one-sided affair in Durham's favour. However, Trent came out guns blazing, taking a 7-4 lead over Durham at one point in the match. With a monumental upset on the horizon, Durham clawed their way back into the game going on an extraordinary scoring spree to end the match 12-9 in their favour.
It's a relief, to be honest. Every year we make it hard on ourselves, and you know, Trent, I've been part of the first team for 3 years now, and Trent are certainly the best team I've ever played. They're so well organised. We are slow starters. It's just something we can't seem to shake. But you know, I think this Durham's got a fantastic pedigree for lacrosse, and that's the 93rd BUCS win in a row now. So we've got, you know, we always back ourselves. Doesn't matter what the score is, we always back ourselves to get the win.
93, that was your record last year, wasn't it, Johnny?
Durham would add another win to their record with women's football, but this one unfortunately didn't come as easily. Cruising into BUCS Big Wednesday with an unbeaten season, Durham were ready to face last year's reigning champions Northumbria. In this very physical challenge of the North East, some of those tackles not getting even close to the ball, Durham took an early 2-0 lead. However, they then promptly gave away a penalty and Northumbria levelled the scores at 3-3. They couldn't hang on though, and a last-minute goal from distance, a real screamer from Rebecca Raber, ensured the purple colours of Durham would be adorning the silverware. Final score 4-3 to Durham. This win would be one of 10 BUCS Big Wednesday title wins that Durham claimed on the day, the most overall wins for any side, making them the #1 team sport university in the country.
How do these coaches do it, Johnny?
Well, it's quite straightforward really, Finn. This is sort of in-game team talks where they can motivate their players. We here at TFI Wednesday have got some high-tech audio equipment which allows us to pick up the sound from those huddles. Take a listen.
Get your hands down, make sure you're rotating. Push down with your nice soft bodies. Just don't touch my bum.
Right, listen mate, we got 100 squirrels out there, so you drop your nuts and you move that way, okay?
All day, every day, I feel like they're pushing me to be some kind of racehorse, but I'm a man.
What I'm gonna do is, no, I'm only joking. I saw you drop your water. Shame. So what we're gonna do is attack here and here and here. Oh, and here. Just make the doo-doo and fling it at the crowd, alright? Yeah. Just make it first. We gotta make the doo-doo.
Make the doo-doo indeed. Those sound guys picked up some phenomenal footage, didn't they?
Yes, wonderful sound quality, some rather unorthodox approaches to the conventional team talk there, but certainly motivational stuff, I think, Finn.
Very much so. Following a season of dominance in BUCS Premier North League, it was Northumbria who went to the men's volleyball final as the team to beat, having won all 10 of their league season fixtures. Facing off against regular BUCS finalist Sheffield Hallam, the court was littered with national and international volleyball players. A nail-biting final saw Hallam take the first set before Northumbria hit back with 2 of their own. Hallam levelled, but it wasn't enough to overtake Team Northumbria, who got an overall win in 5 sets.
Arguably the game of BUCS Big Wednesday, the women's basketball final between Loughborough and Durham had all spectators at the University of Bath and at home watching on the live stream on the edge of their seats. The lead switched several times, but an overtime win meant Loughborough was able to take the BUCS Championship title back to the Midlands for 2017. Here's Erin McGarahan with her thoughts on the game.
Oh, it's amazing to have won. We always knew it was going to be tough, it was going to be ups and downs. Durham are a very individually talented team, but I think we're deeper than them and we held it together as a team. We all love to play in BUCS, it's like fun, but also the competitive edge is there. It's amazing, it's just amazing to bring it home to the school and to represent the purple colours, and I don't know, it's just fantastic.
The scoring for the BUCS League table is split between team sport, individual sport and cup competition, making UEFA's own coefficient look a bit like primary school maths. It is just staggeringly complicated.
It is indeed. Let's have a look at the table itself. Whoa, big surprise. Loughborough University at the top for its 36th year running. They're great at individual sports. They're followed closely by Durham University, who are a little better at team sports. Those are followed closely by Nottingham, Edinburgh and Exeter. Let's have a look at the last 5 in that top 10 list.
And let's also not forget that with athletics and rowing still to come, there is a good chance that another university could make a late break into that top 10 before the end of the season.
Now, Johnny, BUCS wasn't the only competition going on this week. There was something far more important. Last week, we asked you to send us your funniest entries to our Photoshop battle using this original image from the Men's Basketball League game.
You did not disappoint.
So, we picked our favourites, and in third place, Julia Cassidy from Exeter with rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Damn, we both got paper.
It's a rookie error. I always go for rock. Coming in second place, we have Greg Bennett from Nottingham Trent with this piece called Is Pepsi OK? In completely unrelated news, Coca-Cola have just halted production on their advert in which Putin shares a Coke with a gay Ukrainian police officer.
And this week's first place winner, Karen Wu from Newcastle with Good Morning Pyongyang, waving to a Kim Jong uncharacteristically small crowd following his compulsory evacuation order.
It's the only thing small about him, really, isn't it, Finn?
Yeah, it is indeed. So congratulations, Karen. As a reward for coming in first, you get a pot noodle.
A solitary pot noodle, Finn?
A solitary pot noodle indeed. Sadly, the whole BUCS Wednesday thing doesn't really apply to our budget.
It's a heartbreak. This has got to feed you for a month. Don't forget to check our website for next week's challenge. You can send your responses to us using the hashtag TFIW, and maybe, just maybe, we'll show your work on our next show and you might be in luck and win your very own pot noodle.
All right, it's time to get serious. Joining us today via Skype is the Executive Officer at Loughborough, Luke Thompson. Luke, first of all, thanks for joining us. To introduce us, what does it mean to be an Executive Officer at a university?
Sure. So an Executive Officer for sport has a remit to look after the whole of the sporting offer at Loughborough, so all the way from recreational, first-time users of sporting activity, all the way to performance athletes. I'm mandated and voted on by the whole student body, and then I serve for a one-year term and try and make as much difference as I can, I guess.
All right, well, as a university, Loughborough spent 35 years at the top of the BUCS Championships. How do you think, as an executive officer, that they continue to dominate this table?
Absolutely, and it's a great question. It's one that we ask ourselves quite a lot. I think there's a few things that go into it. I think the major one being student experience is so high on our priority list. The kind of foundations of everything we do is just making sure that every student that comes here gets a brilliant sporting experience. And actually, when you get to the top level, that means they're getting the best support and are able to go and perform at the highest level and obviously enjoying it as they go along. I think obviously there's a big piece around culture. There's such a brilliant culture. There's a whole, everybody at Loughborough seems to be competitive and driven and wants to do really well. And actually there's just so many things that play into that make a massive difference. And then the final thing is just the quality of the sporting programme. So be it obviously the amazing facilities that we have access to, the top level coaching, the national governing bodies that fortunately we have based on campus a lot of the time, and to the support that we can give to our athletes. I think when you've got a mixture of all those things and in a model that is very, very much led by students, I think that's very much the foundation of our success.
Right, so with a culture around sport, when you're at a university that really operates at such a high performance level, do you feel pressure as an executive officer to be the man to keep that running?
Well, it's I guess so. I think you certainly don't want to be the executive officer that loses. That's for sure. There's a running joke that every AU president's name goes up in gold once you've won, and then the first person that's going to lose BUCS is going to go up in red. So I certainly hope that's not going to be me. But what I would say is actually you do have quite a lot of authority in this role. So at least it's in your own hands. You can go out and make a difference, and ultimately, I hope that's what I've done this year.
And you mentioned just quickly that many governing bodies are actually based in Loughborough. I know for one that the ECB have their base there. Would you mind just expanding a little bit more on how having those great organisations present impacts upon your capacity for sporting achievement and what effect it has on the athletes who study and play at Loughborough?
Sure, I think it adds a huge amount of value. I think obviously with those organisations coming here, a lot of the top coaches do, a lot of the top athletes do. You just get to feel a part of a kind of a really professional environment for sport. I mean, our swimmers get to go and see Adam Peaty in the swimming pool on a weekday morning, and Adam Jamil is regularly in our athletics track. So you're mixing it with the very best athletes, and obviously the whole setup is pushed around attracting quality athletes and quality students, and it just adds to the whole offer.
Absolutely, must be completely inspirational.
So we've looked at how quality your sports is at Loughborough, how quality your athletes are, and how there's a real culture around sports. But looking back at this season, I'm sure there are a few highlights that you can tell us about in the sporting world.
Well, there've definitely been a few highlights. I think right from the very beginning, we had a brilliant start to the Super Rugby season with a game against Exeter. I think Exeter beat us in the final the previous year, so it was nice to go and get a bit of revenge quite soon. But that was just a great game. We had 3,000 students there to watch that. It was really brilliant. I think loads of our teams have done well. Our cheerleaders won the national level 3 cheerleading competition for the first time in a long time. Probably the one that really stands out to me, our men's basketball team were competing in the BUCS final, Big BUCS Wednesday, and at the end of full time it was tied, so it went to overtime, and just the atmosphere in there was just completely rocking. And I think for the neutral, it was probably one of the best basketball games you're ever going to see. And Loughborough got the win as well, so that's got to be a highlight.
And Luke, part of what was so good about that particular basketball final at Big BUCS Wednesday was the fact that it was streamed. So many people were able to live stream it from their sofas, watch it at home when they couldn't be there in person. Of course, another thing that has been live streamed is, as you mentioned, BUCS Super Rugby, particularly that first game where you managed to get a little bit of revenge on Exeter on the opening day of the season. A sellout crowd is fantastic, but what impact do you think it's had on the league, having people watching at home as well and from wherever?
Sure, I think the BUCS Super Rugby programme as a whole has been fantastic this year and offered a new level of competition, which is just brilliant for student sport. But I think being able to live stream it and access sport at a university level is really important. I mean, for me personally, I remember watching the Bath-Hartbury game in the semi-final, and I would have never watched that otherwise. And actually, just being able to tap into that, it just really is fantastic. And I mean, for us, we're now putting it on in our bar and our students' union. So any game that's live streamed, we've got it on there. Students can come in and watch, and you've got whole range of new students interacting with sport that probably wouldn't have done before. So yeah, massive step forward, I think.
Fantastic. A combination of competitiveness and entertainment is the ideal. Thank you so much for joining us today, Luke. That's been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, thank you very much, Luke.
No problem at all. Thank you.
Well, let's hope for Luke that he gets his name put down in gold and not in red. Now, sports wasn't the only thing that drew the eye, was it, Johnny?
No, that's absolutely right. As well as watching the pitch, our eagle-eyed cameraman was scanning the crowd. Here is a quick combination of those people they managed to catch off guard. This is for your enjoyment. You got caught.
That guy looked incredibly guilty. Well, that's about it for us, Johnny, isn't it?
I know, and it's just gone by so fast, Finn.
Please make sure you get out there and support your teams. And if you see something ridiculous, funny, or even athletic, send it to us at TFI Wednesday, and maybe we'll feature it on our next show.
And for you athletes, congratulations on another week of amazing sport. In honour of you, we'll sign off with the highlights from your week's winning moments. Thanks for watching. I'm Johnny Burrow.
And I'm Finn Blackhills.
See you next week.